They came from a land of bitter cold and drenching rains, a people naked except for skins and a coating of seal oil, tending bonfires on the cliffs and beaches. At night, it seemed there was a beacon on every headland, a chain of lights that led the first Europeans who passed through their domain to name it Tierra del Fuego, or the Land of Fire. By any standard, it was a hard country, but the indigenous Fuegans did not feel the cold like their visitors. With a body temperature above that of average humans, they could sleep in the open without blankets, or dive for mussels in water fed by glaciers. Their canoes and wigwams moved along the coast with the harvest of fish, birds, whales, and sea lions. It was a way of life that confounded the Europeans, whose first attempts to settle the land ended in disaster. In the 16th century, Tierra del Fuego and Patagonia formed the shores of the only known sea route to the Pacific, the Magellan Strait. After the English privateer Francis Drake snuck through the strait on a pillaging spree of Spain's colonies at Chile and Peru, the Spanish king decided to fortify it against other strange ships. He placed the adventurer Pedro Sarmiento de Gamboa in charge of what would prove one of the most ill-fated colonies in history. 23 ships sailed from Spain, but only 5 reached the shores of Tierra del Fuego. The other vessels either deserted or turned around in bad weather. Sarmiento managed to land 300 disoriented settlers, but as winter set in, the wind blew his ships out of the strait, and before he could return, he was captured by the English, leaving his colony to fend for itself. All but forgotten by Spain, the settlers quickly died of starvation and disease. Only a handful was still alive when Thomas Cavendish, a privateer following Drake's example, landed 3 years later. He destroyed the Spanish houses, removed 6 cannons, and named the site Port Famine. All that remained were mouldering graves and church foundations. What did the Fuegans make of that ruined city? They were left wondering because in the following decades the Dutch discovered a safer passage around Cape Horn, and traffic through the Magellan Strait was reduced to the odd explorer or sealer. The Fuegans were surprised when, in the 1820s, 2 Royal Navy brigs wandered into the strait. The Adventure and the Beagle were much bigger than the schooners they were accustomed to seeing. Usually Europeans only came ashore to gather wood and water, or to trade knives and tobacco for meat and skins. But these Englishmen were not merely passing through. They aimed to chart every channel, harbour and island in the strait and make it safer for British shipping. Spain had long restricted trade to South America and kept coastal information as a naval secret, but now her influence was on the wane. The rebel regimes of Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, Chile and Peru were buying manufactured goods from a fleet of more than 250 British merchant ships.